6 of the Knit for Your Die podcast. My name is Cheryl and I will be your host. And normally I have all my puppies surrounding me. However, today is a very warm afternoon and mostly they are all lazing about, sleeping somewhere. We actually have like a doggy playpen for Simon and Piper, and it has like just all their toys and blankets and stuff, and they're both laying down and they're sleeping. We actually call it the Thunderdome because they like go inside it and then battle each other, which is really funny. So they're laying down in there. They may come up at some point to see what I'm doing now that I'm talking. So we'll see. But right now, that's what's going on. Ollie is laying down on the floor in front of me, so they may or may not make an appearance today. Yeah, so thank you for joining me. If you are a new viewer, thank you so much. Welcome. I hope you enjoy. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much. As always, I love you guys and I appreciate you taking some time to watch my podcast. If you would like to find me online, I am Knitsy Pearlsy on Instagram and Ravelry. And I have a Facebook page for my yarn brand, Hypnotic Yarn, and that's just singular, not plural. And the website for that is hypnoticyarn.com. And I also have an Etsy shop with my mother-in-law who makes project bags, and that is millanddillcraft.etsy.com. Okay, I think that is all the intro spiel I have for you today. And actually, I think in general, today might be on the shorter side for the podcast. I don't have a ton of knitting. I have some whips to show you, but I don't have a lot of FOs, and I don't have too many things. I think it's been about 2 weeks, so I'm trying to stick to it every other week, a 2-week schedule. We'll see how that goes, but that's my goal anyway, because I think I've been going quite a bit longer than that, and I think it's just too much stuff to go over, and it makes the episodes really long. So, with that said, that is what I'm going to try to do, so we'll see if that works out, but we'll try. I have my notes in front of me, so if you see me glancing down, that is what I'm looking at. I apologize. I hope it's not too distracting. So before I get started with knitting, I would like to talk to you guys really quickly about the knit along that I am hosting in the Ravelry group for the podcast. It's just, the group name is the Knit for Your Die podcast. And if you are new, then I am hosting a knit along for either my free sock patterns that I have out. I have 2 patterns, the Magician's Shorty Socks and the Espresso Shot Shorty Sock patterns. They're both free on Ravelry, and if you go to the group and check out the thread, they're linked there as well. So super easy to find. So if you're knitting either of those patterns, you can join in, and I am doing monthly drawings from both the chatter thread and the FO thread. So June, July, August right now is the plan, and then we'll see how it goes after that. But you can also enter if you are knitting any sock pattern using my yarn, which is Hypnotic Yarn. So 2 ways to enter: any sock pattern that uses my yarn, or any yarn using my sock patterns. Or you can double up and of course use my yarn and my patterns, and you get 2 entries. So yeah, there's been a lot of people posting in the chatter thread, and I mean, I guess by a lot, you know, that's relative to the size of the group and all, but you know, I'm excited that there are quite a few of you posting and chatting it up in there, so that is super awesome. There's not a lot of people in the FO thread for June, so get your FOs in there, guys, because right now you're gonna have a really good chance of winning that prize I showed last week, which was like the alpaca prize pack that has the alpaca yarn, that cute little alpaca garden alpaca box, the alpaca themed skein coat, and oh, the little the counter that goes on your finger there. I'm not sure if there was anything else, but I mean, there was a cute little prize pack for June that will be given away from the FO thread, and then I'll also pull a winner from the chatter thread, and that will be a pattern that I talked about last week, and you guys can, if you haven't seen last week's episode, check that out if you want more info and see the prizes. So yeah, get your FOs in there for June, and we're almost at the end of the month. Summer is flying by, you guys. I can't believe June is almost over. That's crazy. But yeah, so next month is July. Obviously, that's how it goes, right? And I think I'm going to be hosting some sort of Christmas in July thing. I don't know, I haven't thought it quite through yet, but some sort of Christmas in July theme with my yarn. So I will probably announce that either in the next podcast, or if I don't have an episode before then, it will probably be in the shop news thread in the group if anybody is interested. I think I'll do like a different theme every week in July, and it'll basically be that if you order yarn, you're gonna get some sort of goodie with your order. So kind of, you know, Christmas present to you if you buy my yarn. And I'm not sure exactly what those goodies will be. I need to kind of figure that out, but it'll be something fun. Maybe there'll be some coupon codes or something like that. Moving along and on to more knitting related goodness. I have some acquisitions, and I know I just said knitting related goodness, and the first thing I'm going to show you is not knitting related at all. I got this mug, you guys. Lately, I have been sort of mug obsessed. I don't know what it is, but I have been like just buying all the mugs and asking for mugs for presents and getting mugs, and I just want to build up my mug collection, I guess. I drink a lot of coffee, so I feel like I should have mugs. I love them. So yeah, so I'm buying myself some mugs, and this one I got at Christmas tree shops. I don't know if that's a national chain or what, but we do have them here in New England. And this one says, "Work hard and eat donuts." And the handle is like a strawberry frosted donut, which is how cute, right? And then on the inside it says, "I do not care." I think that's adorable. So anyway, my mug. I have a Keurig machine, and I have one of those like the plastic filters that you can put in so you don't have to buy the pods, and I get all of my coffee from this little like coffee shop place or whatever that's down the street from my house, and it's called the Village Bean, and I love buying my coffee there. You guys are gonna think I'm such a dork, but I love buying my coffee there because it makes me feel very Gilmore Girls. Like, the Village Bean. Doesn't that sound like something you would see, like Lorelai and Rory walking down to the Village Bean to get their coffee? That's what it makes me think of. So I love buying my coffee there. And today I am drinking their raspberry chocolate coffee. Their flavored coffee, if you like flavored coffee, oh my God, it's so, so good. And honestly, I want to say it's like $8 for a half a pound, which is pretty much cheaper than buying those stupid little pods that you use in a Keurig machine, which have gotten ridiculously expensive. I don't know what's up with that, but you get like, now they want like $12 for 10 coffee pods. 10 coffee pods will last me like 3 days. That's crazy. Where a half a pound of coffee will last me probably 2 weeks. So if I get a pound, I mean, I'm probably good for maybe 3 weeks for sure to a month, depending on how much coffee I'm drinking. That's way better value, and it's gourmet, amazing coffee from a local business that I can support instead of, you know, just some random like Starbucks coffee pods. So anyway, that's my spiel about coffee. yeah, I'm totally digging my new mug, and they had a whole bunch of super cute mugs there, so I think I'm gonna have to go back and get some more, but I do love this one. Okay, on to the knitting. So I have one FO, but I don't have it with me because I gifted it the day after I blocked it and finished it. It went off to a friend of mine who, I hope she loves it. You know, it's kind of too warm to really use it right now, so I hope that, you know, once it gets a little bit cooler out, she will enjoy it. But it is the color code shawl that I showed you guys last week, that I was test knitting for Justina McBride of Mimi May Designs. And last time I showed you guys the shawl, and I talked about how I didn't know how to pronounce her company name. It was M-E-M-E Design, or M-E-M-E May Designs, and I wasn't sure how you said that. I thought maybe it was Meme May, but Justina did reach out to me, and she let me know that it is Mimi May. And oh God, I have the worst memory, but I believe she said it was because, I think it was her little brother couldn't say her name, and that's what he used to call her when he was really little, was Mimi. So that is how that was incorporated into that business name, and I thought that was so cute. I love stories like that. I don't know, just like those personal touches on things I think are so adorable. So it's Mimi May Designs, and it's Justina McBride. She is the designer who created the color code shawl, and I really liked knitting this shawl, you guys. There's always something about, you know, it's an easy shawl to knit. I would say, you know, any sort of adventurous beginner, if you can knit and purl, and are comfortable, you know, carrying your yarn up the side for, you know, a few rows, then I think you can definitely do the shawl. It's a nice size. I finished it in, I think I had about 2 weeks to do the test knit. That was a little tight, I'm not gonna lie. I think I finished it like a day past the deadline, and I was knitting on it a lot, like every single day in the morning and at night. I was knitting on it pretty monogamously for those 2 weeks. So I would say, you know, 3 weeks, or if you're a faster knitter than I am, 2 weeks is probably plenty, or maybe 3 weeks would be a little bit more of a relaxed knit. But it's basically a garter stitch, asymmetrical. Well, I don't know if you call it asymmetrical. I think you do. It's like a big triangle, but it's not the kind that has like the really, well, it kind of does. I'm going to show you guys a picture. Actually, I'll insert the picture here so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so now that you've seen the shawl finished, it's like a big triangle, and it has these stripes, and it's really fun to knit because as you go along, it's based on the stripes are based on the Fibonacci sequence. So you start out with no stripe, and then you start out with 1, and then it goes to 3, 5, 8, 13, and you can keep going, I think, to 21, and so on and whatnot. I mean, it would get really big if you go 21 or beyond. I went to 13, I think, is where she ends the pattern. But the stripes are really fun. That the stripe and lace section is really fun to knit. And so, you know, you're going along and you're doing your garter sections, and you can't wait to get to that next stripe section. And, you know, you have 1 stripe, and then it's 3 stripes, and then 5, and you can't wait to like start seeing those stripes build up. So it's really motivating. And it's 2 colors, so that was fun. And, you know, I did mine a little bit differently because I didn't have, you kind of need 2 skeins of your main color and 1 skein of your contrast for the stripes. I didn't have that. I have 2 sort of bigger skeins, 490 yards. So I did like the first half of the shawl in the white speckled yarn, and then with the hot pink in the stripes, and then I inverted those colors and did the hot pink for the main color with the white for the stripes. And I really like how that turned out. I used up nearly the majority of both skeins. I have just a little bit left over, you know, maybe like a mini, like 10 grams. I didn't weigh it, but I'm guessing somewhere between 10 and 12 grams of each color, maybe even a little bit less of the white. But yeah, I love how it turned out. So I would definitely recommend that shawl. It's available now on Ravelry, and I think it's been out for a week or so now. Yeah, so go check that out if you're interested. And that's the only FO I had this week, or you know, this time. I'm a little bit sad because honestly I really liked it, and I kind of wish I kept it for myself, but the friend that I knit it for, hot pink, or just pink in general, is really her jam, and I thought she would like it. She's always cold, this woman, always cold. And I did knit her an infinity scarf before that she'd asked for, and she wore it all the time last winter. I saw her several times, and she always had it on. So I know she's very knit worthy, and I think she'll definitely get some use out of it. So I know, you know, I am happy. I am very happy that I gifted it to her, and I think she will use it a lot. But it was like I finished it and gave it right away. Like literally the next day we were all going out to dinner, and it was my opportunity. I don't get to see her that often, so I had to give it away that very next day after it was blocked, and I just wish I had spent a little more time with it. That sounds so silly, but you know, it's like you need that time to like say goodbye to your hand knits, I think. I don't know, I know I'm being weird. Okay, so anyway, whips. I do have several whips that I can show you guys. Some of them you have seen, and I've made some progress on, and others are new. So last week I showed you guys my starting point wrap. I always want to say starting point mystery wrap, even though it's not a mystery anymore, but I guess I just had grown so accustomed to saying mystery that that's how it wants to come out. So I did knit a little bit more on that. So this was it's kind of hard to hold it up. I don't know if you remember, but last week I told you I kind of moved it onto this broken needle so I could switch my needles over to the other half. But this is kind of what it looks like. I'll give you a up close look at the colors there. Yeah, so this is clue 1 that I have finished, and then I decided to go ahead and just cast on the second part of clue 1, which if you're knitting the pattern, you know you have to knit 2 of every clue. So it was fun not really knowing how that was all gonna work together and play out, and see everybody putting it together and trying to figure out how that was gonna happen. And really right up until even after I got clue 5, I mean, I read through it and I'm like, I don't understand. I just like kind of skimmed through it just to see like, oh, how does it go together? And then I just went to Instagram and looked at other people's pictures, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I'm not going to tell you in case you don't know and you want that to be a mystery, because you can still do it as a mystery. I think if you just read through well, no, it won't be a mystery because there's pictures in there. But anyway, you do need to knit 2 of each clue. And the clues are pretty quick to knit. I mean, I did this in one sitting, like just sitting down one night watching TV. I think this is probably like half of clue 1, and then I'll finish the other half, and then I can move on to clue 2, which I'm excited about. I really want this as an FO. And I was out, you guys, yesterday with my mom, and my mom is 73, I think. I think she's gonna be 73 or 74 in August. And she's super funny and super cute. And I knit her recently for Mother's Day. I showed you the Mother's Heart shawl, and she really liked that. And she comes out when I had called her up and said, oh, do you want to just go out to the store and, you know, put around, whatever. And she said yes. So I went and picked her up, and she comes out with a magazine. Somehow they send a knitting magazine to her house. I don't know why. I haven't lived in their house since for quite a long time. But they send knitting magazines in my name to her house. I don't know how I got on that mailing list, but she comes out and it's open to a page, and she goes, here, I want this. And it's a big square or rectangle, like, stole wrap. And I'm like, oh, I happen to be knitting a rectangular stole wrap at the moment. And so I showed her some pictures of the starting point wrap, and she was like, oh, that's beautiful. And I'm like, oh, I feel like now I have to give it to her for maybe her birthday, which, you know, I haven't been able to keep any or very few of my hand knits, and this one I feel like is one that I really want to keep. But I also feel like if she really wants it, then I also really want to give it to her at the same time. So I don't know, that's a tough one. I don't know, we'll see. I think that having a goal and a reason to knit something does help me, like, finish projects. If I have in mind, like, oh, I'm gonna give this to my mom for her birthday, and that is on X date, it motivates me to finish something, as opposed to, oh, just finish it whenever, then it'll probably sit God knows how long. So we'll see, but that might happen. That might be a thing. So that's one. And then I showed you guys, I showed you guys last week, this sock that I had was a hoe. Excuse my nail polish too. It's so awful and chipped, and I just haven't had a chance to change it. So please ignore that. So I finished that as a hoe, and I was using the Hermione's Everyday Sock patterning on the instep, and the yarn is by Yarn Cafe Creations in the Kelpie colorway. And I cast on the second sock, and I just dyed, this is a green that I just dyed myself to have on hand. And I cast on its mate while I was traveling. I did quite a bit of, I don't say traveling, but normally I work from my house, which I've told you guys before, and it's in my office, you know, on a computer. But May and June, I actually had to leave my office quite a bit more than I normally ever do. I had quite a few customer visits that I made with our outside sales team and other people from my corporate office. So I always bring my knitting, because they pick me up and drive me, because I don't do a lot of, I mean, I drive like locally on, you know, back roads and even, you know, our main roads and stuff, but I don't do a lot of highway driving, and I don't really drive places I don't know. So they usually come pick me up, and I bring my knitting, and, you know, if we have an hour drive each way, I just sit and knit while they cart me around, which is nice. So I cast it on, and I put in my waist yarn for the heel. I'll do this pair has an afterthought heel, and then that's all I've done. I haven't picked it up since, that was probably, oh, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, I guess. Well, I probably started this right after the last episode, so whenever that was. And then, let's see, I'll put that right over here. And then I have, my yarn's starting to get tangled. I kind of just plopped all these things in a pile next to me. Bear with me, I have a crazy tangle. Okay, here we go. So my next whip is something I think I'm gonna pull out, because I more or less was just playing around with it, but this is the yarn. I dyed this a couple days ago. Oh look, that's weird. So yeah, I dyed this a few days ago. I don't know if the light's kind of blowing it out, but it's like a peach, a beige, and like a really light bluish gray. I think I'm calling it Life's the Beach. I threw out a couple of name options to my son, who's 14, and Life's the Beach is the one that he liked the best for this. I was also thinking maybe Sandcastles or Seashell Party. But he liked Life's the Beach, so I think that's what this is going to be. And I love this colorway. So I wanted to see what it was going to look like knit up though before I decided to dye more of it for the shop, because sometimes with colors like these, like orange and blues, where they're a very similar tone, I think tone is the right word. I mean, they're all, you know, there's not a lot of contrast. Like I wouldn't put these next to each other necessarily in Fair Isle, because even though they're different colors, they're the same tone. So they do get a little bit lost next to each other. But sometimes when that happens, when you knit it up, those colors can almost turn a little bit muddy next to each other. So even though they look really nice in the skein, you can lose that, the beauty of it when they're right next to each other. They almost look brownish together or something. So I wanted to see what it looked like knit up before I decided to really move forward with it. This was a color that I had in my head for quite a long time, and I hadn't moved forward with it for that reason, because I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to dye it to make sure that the colors just didn't get muddy next to each other. So anyway, I finally kind of went for it while I was doing something else. It was just the right time. But this is how it looks knit up. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if I'm even showing you the right side or the wrong side. But I do love it. I think it's very pretty, and I think it's really appropriate. Like, I do think it's very beachy looking, but I also think it would make a really nice fall color too. So I think I'm definitely going to dye it, because I think it'd be a nice kind of all year color. And it's nice and subtle, but the colors do stay very distinct. It didn't get muddy at all. I love it. So I don't know, let me know what you guys think. But I think it would also look good with a lot of different skin tones as well. Like, I am more of a pale person with kind of a reddish, you know, undertone or whatever you want to call it. And I'm freckled and whatnot. But I think, you know, if you had even like maybe paler skin or darker skin, I think this would look really nice on a wide variety of people. So yeah, and the pattern, this is just, there's no pattern. I just cast on like for a crescent shawl and did like increases on either side, just like you would for like a basic crescent shawl. And I was just playing around with some different like eyelet sort of motifs in the middle here. I did it's eyelet lace with seed stitch in between. I think it's kind of cute. I don't know if you can see the seed stitch, or if it stands out from the garter, if it almost looks just like garter. I'm not sure. I don't know if I love it, but I did it differently here than I did up here. Actually, down here is the better, if you can see that, that's the top part. Is I did it different every single row, just messing around. So we'll see. I don't know. I think I'm gonna rip this out though before I get too far. I actually knit it on these straight needles, which this is the first time I've ever used straight needles in my life. I bought these. They were probably one of the first needles I ever purchased for myself several years ago. I just was like, oh, these look like a good size. They're size 5s. I like use size 5s for nearly nothing. And I don't use straight needles at all. Like, I don't get anything flat unless it's, you know, I don't seam things. Seaming, not something I'm good at. My seams are like, oh, so bad. So I stay away from seaming. And I don't really knit like scarves or anything like that. So I really had no need for these ever, but all of my circulars in like 4s and 6s, which I would normally do for a shawl, are in other projects. So I grabbed these and I thought, well, these will be fine until it gets, you know, too big. At this point, it's already, I mean, it's like really squished onto this needle, you know, when you have all the stitches. So I'm gonna go out today with my mom again, and we're gonna go to a couple stores and the craft store, and I think I'm gonna pick up maybe a size, maybe a size 4 and a size 6 circular on like a 40-inch if I can find it. Our craft store has lousy needle selection. Lousy, I hate to say it, but I mean, we've got all the usual suspects: AC Moore, Michaels, Joann's, Hobby Lobby. They never have good needle selections. None of them. I've seen some people, like in some of my Facebook groups, show that like they've got oh my god, like I can't think of the brand. Knitter's Pride, I think they've got Knitter's Pride needles at their local craft store, like at Michael's or something, and I'm like, my Michael's is like, their whole yarn, knitting, crochet, whatever section is like, or fiber section, is like one aisle, not even a full aisle, it's not even like both sides, it's just one side of yarn on like the outside aisle, and then you go inside and you've got like needles and notions and whatnot on the other side, and that's it. And AC Moore, they have a little bit more yarn, but they don't have, they just have one small section for needles and stuff, so it's kind of sad. But anyway, so I threw it on these. This is a 40-inch cord on my size 1s that I got from Knit Picks. So I threw it on this cord just so I could kind of stretch it out and show you guys the color really more than anything. But I really am loving this color. I don't know. I love it. Like a lot. Like I want a sweater out of it. I probably won't knit a sweater out of it, but I do like it a lot. So I think I'm going to dye some of that up and add it to the shop over the next day or two. So if you're interested in that, keep a lookout. I'll probably only do like 2 skeins, maybe 3 to start, to see how it does. If there's interest, then I'll dye more. But yeah, I mean, if you think you're super interested, let me know, and maybe I'll do a little more, or just check out the shop and grab it if you want it, because you know, I usually, that's how I introduce colors, is I do a small quantity to start with, to see how they do, because sometimes it's weird. Sometimes colors, I think, are like just amazing and beautiful and stunning. Nobody really, you know, they just kind of languish in the shop, and I'm like, oh, that's so weird. And then other colors, I'm like, yeah, I'm not really in love with this, but, you know, someone might like it, so I'll put it up, and it sells out. I'm like, what? So I'm like, either I have like really weird tastes, or I don't know. So now I'll dye up a color and go, well, this is funky, I don't know. And I'm like, it'll probably be a bestseller. Sure enough, it will be. It's so bizarre. So anyway, I don't know. I feel like I can't judge my own colorways sometimes, or, you know, as far as how they're gonna do, which is fine, not a big deal. So anyway, my last whip is kind of I have a hoe, and it's a pair of socks, and I will show you. This is the finished one, and my blockers are all tangled up. I'm a mess, you guys, today. I am a hot mess. Must be the heat. So this is what it looks like on the blocker. Boop, boop. Other side. This is my Snapdragon colorway, and I dyed a whole series of yarn, and several are still available, but I dyed it a while ago, and they are, so what they are is, one side is like a darker color, and the other side is a lighter color. So in this particular, I didn't bring the skein out, but in this particular colorway, it's a dark purple and a very pale purple. which because they're on either ends, they micro stripe. And then in the middle is orange. So you have orange in the middle in between both the light and the dark. And so the orange micro stripes like on itself. So you get this more solid orange between this kind of stripe looking purple. And I have a series of colors that look like that. So if you like how this sort of knits up, and then the heel and toe is just, this is what it does by itself. I didn't do anything special. I did a Fish Lips Kiss heel on this pair, which is another heel that I really, really like. If I'm not doing an afterthought heel, I'm doing an FLK heel. And this is just what it does on its own, the yarn. So if you like how this knits up, I do have several colors that will do something similar. I have a Breath of Spring, which is in the shop. There's another one, I forget what it's called. It might be like Citrus Sorbet or Citrus something, and it's like a creamy yellow and no, they're not all like purple, you know, they're not all like pink or something like that. Some of them will micro stripe different. Like a Breath of Spring is pink and then a beige that micro stripes, and then it has a green stripe, like a minty green band that swirls around. And it does depend on your gauge exactly what you'll get, but as long as you're not, I think this is like 60 stitches. As long as you're not, I mean, if you were at like 72 stitches, it would probably knit up very differently. But if you're somewhere around 60, a little lower or a little higher, you should probably still get this sort of effect. Yeah, so the other one is Citrus something or other, and it's like a pale creamy yellow, and then like a sort of like an olivey beige, and I think orange. I forget, it's been so long since I did it, but I think I have one of those left. Oh, and then there's a colorway called Venom. I think I have one left, which that one was selling like crazy for a while, and I have one left, and that one's been kind of sitting. But that one's it's like a dark gray and a light gray and a yellow. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it's that order. I think it's dark gray and light gray will micro stripe, and then you'll have a yellow band. I might knit that one up next if nobody snags that, because I really enjoy how the look of this. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Again, maybe I have the weirdest taste. I don't know. But I like how this looks a lot. And I think I would really enjoy the gray and the yellow together. So that one is called Venom. And I have one. So anyway, this is Snapdragon, and I really like it. This is the second sock. I have just a little bit more to knit, maybe another, oh God, I don't know, inch or maybe 2 inches, and then the toe, and that'll be done. So I've got a lot of things that are like close to being sort of done. But yeah, that's that. And then that's really it, you guys, for whips and knitting. I have a couple of bags that I was going to show you. I kind of went from my acquisitions for my mug, and then I forgot. I got all excited about coffee and forgot what I was talking about. So, my Snapdragon cake is in another one of these ball sacks that I showed you guys last week, that my mother-in-law makes. I don't know, she made me these, I don't know why, I think there was something she did that she didn't like. Couldn't tell you what. I think they look like perfection. Maybe something didn't line up, like the arrows here. You can see, let me see. Oh, here, she's got a seam where the arrows don't line up, maybe, or the anchors, not arrows, anchors don't line up. Maybe that's what she didn't care for. I don't know, but she gave me a bunch of these, and you can see it fits just a skein or a cake of yarn. This is what Snapdragon looks like caked up. But yeah, it fits your cake perfectly. See, boop, and then it's just a little tiny baby drawstring bag. I think it's super cute. Guys, this thing really does keep your yarn just so nice and cozy and together, and it doesn't unravel in your bag. It doesn't get caught or tangled in anything, and you can just take it out and you're like good to go. I love these things. So she's making them and giving them to me, and I am keeping them. And I think that's great. She's got several ready to go in the shop. She has not listed them yet. I know she's busy. She's got a busy summer going on, so I know she's just gonna get like them photographed and listed. So I might even actually offer to grab them from her and get them pictured and listed, because I just think they're so great and they're not going to be that expensive. So why not get them up? Because I just think people would love them. She also made me this little bag. It's made out of like a like flannel. Can you see? It's like a light gray, and look at those sweet little pink birds and little white hearts. And then the inside is just like this baby pink. It's kind of, I think I could use it for like ankle socks or something. It is quite small. She just made it because I think she had the leftover fabric and made it and gave it to me, which I will use it definitely for something. I'm just not exactly sure what. I think in like the fall, I make a lot of like headbands and stuff, like the ear warmer type, like the, you know, like a cabled headband sort of thing, for like fall, winter. I might, you know, something like a small project like that, like a small accessory would be great for a little bag like this. But yeah, it's super soft because it's flannel. It's so cute. I love it. All right, I'm just gonna have a quick sip. Okay, and then she also made me this one, which is the most adorable sugar skulls, and it's this really cool like royal blue on the inside and the yellow. I just love like just the bright colors in this, and it closes up like that. Ta-da! I don't know why she gave me this one. This looks like perfection to me. I really have no idea, but this would be perfect for a cake of yarn. It's perfect size. So I am going to use this one for a giveaway. I don't know, probably for the July sock knit along Cal in the group. I think maybe this will either be part of the FO giveaway, or maybe this will be the chatter thread prize if I don't do like another pattern or something. I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but I definitely have decided that I'm keeping this one for a giveaway. So I have not, I haven't used it, even though I actually love this one. This one is my favorite one that she has made, that she has given me. But, you know, I have access to so many of these because she makes them and gives them to me, that I thought I would rather gift this lovely one to one of you guys because you're awesome. And I love you. So yeah. So that'll be part of the giveaway. And then she also made me this really cute project bag. I love the style of bag. It's kind of like cherry blossoms, I think. I think she has an interfacing in here, but it's a very light interfacing. But the bag stands up. If you see, the bag does stand up basically on its own. And it's a great over-the-shoulder bag. She does not make any of these for the shop. I'm not exactly sure why, but like mainly in the shop she makes zipper bags or the drawstring bags. If this is something you would like to see in the shop, please let me know and I will pass that info along to her. Feedback is always super helpful. So like she made this one. The other one that she made me that I use all the time is this one, where she has like a bright lime green on the inside. I love this bag. These are my favorite out of some of the bags that she's given me, just because they fit. Like this is what I've got my Hohi starting point shawl in. Obviously I'm thinking I might grow out of it for that because it's just such a big big shawl, but for a regular shawl or even a sweater, you could fit a small, like a fingering weight sweater or something, you could totally fit in this bag. And it's a great carry bag, especially if I don't want to take a purse with me and I'm going somewhere and I'm taking my knitting. I'll just throw like my wallet in here. I mean, not if I'm going to be putting it down a lot, I guess, because it's so open and it doesn't close. But, you know, if I'm just going somewhere where I'm going to have it on me, I'll just throw all my junk right in here along with my knitting and go to town. So yeah, let me know if these bags are something that you'd be interested in. And I will definitely mention it to her. So yeah, that's it for the knitting portion of this podcast. I am going to do some book talk next, and then just a quick bit of shop stuff. So if you're not interested in either of those things, you are excused. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And again, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you guys next time. And if you are sticking around for the book talk and the shop stuff, awesome. I'm just going to take a quick break and grab my iPad so that I can, I'm going to read just a little blurb of the book description that I want to talk about. So I will be right back. Hey guys, I am back and I am ready to talk about some books with you. So I'm going to start, I actually have a few books that I want to go over. And I know, you know, episode 1, I said, oh, I love books and I read so much and I want to talk about a book every week. And then I haven't talked about books at all since then. And I think I've been in a little bit of a reading slump. And that does happen to me from time to time. I don't know, you other readers out there, if you go through that as well, I'd be curious to know. You know, I'll go through like a year without, you know, I'll be reading every day, several books a month, and then kind of out of nowhere, I'll just hit this slump where, I don't know, I'm just not finding anything that I like. I'll start a lot of books but not finish them. I think for me it comes at either 2 different times. One, I have just finished a series and there's nothing else by that particular author that I'm either interested in or I've already read everything that they have out, and I just don't know, you know, what that next thing I want to read is. Sometimes, you know, you're looking for something very similar, you're on like kind of on a roll, you know, whatever that genre is that you just read, you want something that kind of gives you that same feeling and you just can't find it. I'm kind of dealing with that for a while with the TV documentary, The Making of a Murderer. If you guys have watched that, God, that show was just like kind of, right? And then there's just nothing else out there like it. So it's like, I used to love documentaries and I'd watch all kinds of documentaries, but I'm kind of in a documentary slump too, because I finished that like a long time ago and I haven't really found anything else that really was as engaging and kept you really interested. So, and that's kind of what I've been going through with books a little bit. I'm in the middle of several series at the moment, which is, you know, the other time I think I find myself in a slump, which is similar to when you finish a series. There's 3 different book series that I am in the middle of, and the next book has not been released yet. 2 of them, I think at least, should have new books coming out soon, but until they do, you know, and I really like all of these 3 books, so if any one of them came out with a new book, I would be more than happy. But none of them have. And again, I just find myself not really just finding anything that just captures me and won't let go, you know? So, but I've been doing a little bit better lately with my reading and finding some books that are interesting. So I'm going to talk first about a book that I just recently finished, and it is called The Call. And it is a young adult, sort of, I guess it's fantasy. It's set in our world, but there's definitely fantastical elements to it. Yeah, so I'm gonna read you the little blurb. It's really quick. And I will tell you the thing that grabbed me about this book, I didn't even read the blurb. I didn't know if it was adult, young adult, I didn't know what it was. But I think it was on Audible that I read the blurb. It doesn't say it here, so I can't really read you exactly what it was that grabbed me, but it was on Audible, and it said The Hunger Games meets horror. Grabbed my attention immediately. I love The Hunger Games, loved that series so much, and I really am also a big horror fan, and not so much like blood and gore horror, but I do like things that are a little bit on the scary side. So yeah, so Hunger Games and horror combined. I very rarely find a horror book that I really like. So I was quite excited. So I got it right away, basically like sight unseen, didn't care. And I will say that I liked it quite a lot. I liked the beginning, was very engaging. It grabs you right from the beginning. I don't know that I loved the ending. I didn't hate it. By all means, I would definitely recommend the book. Especially, I think I do like a lot of young adult books. However, like Hunger Games is a young adult book. But the horror part, I felt was a little bit of a letdown because I did not find it really any horror aspects in it. I would say it would be like calling the Hunger Games horror. Yes, there is some violence, and it's a little bit graphic, but I mean, if you've read or watched the movies, you wouldn't call Hunger Games a horror movie or a horror novel by any stretch, in my opinion. By all means, if you disagree, let me know, because I'd be super curious to hear other thoughts on that, but I wouldn't call it horror. And I would say this is definitely along the lines of the Hunger Games, in that it's not horror. There is some violence in it, and some of it is graphic, but it's still, the main character in this book is 14 years old. So I think it's appropriate for that audience. So it's not so graphic or so, it's just not, I didn't find it very creepy. You didn't get that spine tingly feeling at all. But so I think maybe my expectations were set a little bit differently for what this book was going to be by that little catchphrase that they started with in the blurb, and then it didn't quite ever reach that point for me. Had that not been in my head, I think I would have even enjoyed it more than I did. But again, I did enjoy it, so I would recommend it, especially if you have a teen who enjoys that sort of reading. I would definitely recommend it for them. But it is called The Call, and it is by, I'm not quite sure how you say the author's name. I think it's Peadar O'Gillen. It's Peadar, and his last name is O apostrophe Guilin. I don't have my glasses on, and this is very small text, so I think that's how it's spelled. And it says, you have 3 minutes to save your life. 3 minutes. You wake up alone in a horrible land. A horn sounds. The call has begun. 2 minutes. The Sita, I think. I just finished this book, and I don't know how to pronounce the name of the bad guys in this book, but it says, they are close. They're the most beautiful and terrible people you've ever seen, and they've seen you. 1 minute. Nessa will be called soon. No one thinks she has any chance to survive. but she's determined to prove them wrong. Time's up. Could you survive the call? That's the blurb. I will tell you that, I don't know, I think the blurb on Audible gives you a little bit more information, but it's about fairies, basically. And if you've read any sort of fantasy books where fairies are involved, you know that they can be kind of, in some books, nicer than others, but they all generally have the same sort of characteristics. This is no different as far as the general characteristics of fairies, but they are on the quite mean side. They don't have many good traits at all. They're definitely the antagonists in this book. So, and I found it very interesting. The characters were very interesting in this book. And you do get a sense of like, oh my God, what's going to happen to these poor kids that get called into this awful land and have these terrible, terrible things happen to them. I mean, you do, right from the get-go, you are very, very drawn in by that. It wastes no time jumping you right into the story. But again, I think that my expectations were just set a little bit differently from the blurb that I had read. And yeah, but I would recommend the book. Give it a shot if you think that's something you're interested in. The other book that I am reading currently is called The Girl Before. And it is by J.P. Delaney. And it's funny because not too long ago I read another book called The Girl Before. I don't remember who the author was. I didn't look it up, but it was a really good book. So there's another book called The Girl Before that is somewhat of a new release, and that is also a psychological thriller, as this The Girl Before is. And that one was really, really good. I don't want to get into what it's about, but since I'm mentioning it, in case you want to check it out, it has to do with like sex trafficking and it's about this girl who was abducted as a very young child and then brought up in this lifestyle. It's not really, I mean, it's not an easy book to read, but it's not, I mean, I guess it depends on what your tolerance level is. I mean, some people I would think might have difficulty reading that. I don't think it was super graphic. It didn't, I don't think it went over the top, but it's definitely, you know, it goes into some stuff. So, you know, if that is hard for you to read and wrap your mind around, it might not be the book for you, but it was a very interesting book, and it was just an amazing read, I thought. So that was The Girl Before. So check that one out if you like psychological thrillers. It's a good one. This The Girl Before is also a psychological thriller, and the comp titles, it says here, it says New York Times bestseller in the tradition of The Girl on the Train, The Silent Wife, and Gone Girl. It says comes an enthralling psychological thriller that spins one woman's seemingly good fortune and another woman's mysterious fate through a kaleidoscope of duplicity, death, and deception. Tell me that doesn't sound good. I mean, that's the pretty vague logline for this, but yeah, so far it's really good, I have to say. It does draw you in, and it is, The Girl on the Train, that book didn't draw me in. So, I don't know. I know a lot of people loved it. I have the book. I read, I think, half of it. It just took too long for me to get into. Like, I was waiting and waiting, like, where are we going with this? So I think that's more just personal preference. I like things that are a little bit of a faster pace. And I watched the movie also, since I didn't end up finishing the book. I have it in hardcover. So I watched the movie. The movie was pretty good, but I don't know, it didn't blow me away. There wasn't anything surprising about it to me. I thought, okay, like, yeah, there's a twist, but it was a twist you kind of see coming, I thought. It wasn't like, to me, Gone Girl was just a bigger twist. And I don't know, I like how it was done better. I really enjoyed Gone Girl. So I'm not going to tell you about it in case you haven't read either of those, but Gone Girl was really great, I thought. this, I think, so far the way the book is set up falls more in that vein. It's different because it's different people, but I'll read you the little blurb. It says, please make a list of every possession you consider essential to your life. The request seems odd, even intrusive, and for the two women who answer, the consequences are devastating. Emma. Reeling from a traumatic break-in, Emma wants a new place to live, but none of the apartments she sees are affordable or feel safe, until 1 Folgate Street. The house is an architectural masterpiece, a minimalist design of pale stone, plate glass, and soaring ceilings. But there are rules. The enigmatic architect who designed the house retains full control. No books, no throw pillows, no photos or clutter or personal effects of any kind. The space is intended to transform its occupant, and it does. Jane. After a personal tragedy, Jane needs a fresh start. When she finds 1 Folgate Street, she is instantly drawn to the space and to its aloof but seductive creator. Moving in, Jane soon learns about the untimely death of the home's previous tenant, a woman similar to Jane in age and appearance. As Jane tries to untangle truth from lies, she unwittingly follows the same patterns, makes the same choices, crosses paths with the same people, and experiences the same terror as the girl before. So that's it. That's the little blurb, and I just got goosebumps reading it. So it goes back and forth between Emma and Jane's perspectives. So similar to the way Gone Girl is set up, where you're going from her diary to her husband's perspective back to her. Yeah, so it's set up in a similar sort of fashion. I'm only at the beginning. I think I've only read the first few chapters. I'm listening to it on Audible, and it's really good. It's set in London, I believe, and the narrator is wonderful. So if you like audiobooks, this is definitely a good one so far. But yeah, I love it. So I can't really tell you too much about it other than it has drawn me in. It is the type of psychological thriller that is right up my alley. When I'm reading that type of book, this is what I like. So we'll see how it goes, but so far I'm really enjoying it, and I will let you know. I should be done it by the next episode, and I will tell you what my final thoughts on it are. And then the third book I want to discuss, and this will be super quick because I haven't started the book yet, but it is called Astrophysics for People in a Hurry, and it's by Neil deGrasse, I think, Tyson, and it is this cute little book. And my daughter got this for me for Mother's Day, and she has a copy also, and so the plan was that we're going to read it and talk about it, which I thought was so cute. She's already finished it. I haven't even started it, but I am on vacation this coming week. Today, I didn't mention, like I said last week, I'm going to tell you the date. Well, I didn't. I'm not even sure what today's date is, to be honest with you. It is, let me see if my iPad tells me what day it is. Sunday, June 25th, 2017 is the date. So Friday was my last day before vacation, and I am off until July 5th is when I return. So my company doesn't normally do this, but they gave us the day before the 4th off, where it's a Monday. They gave us Monday and Tuesday off. I had originally taken it as a vacation day, so that freed up a vacation day for me. So I have this week and then next Monday and Tuesday as well. So that's a nice little bonus, and it's like 2 free days. So the point is, I'm going to read this book while I am on vacation. So yeah, and doesn't really say. Okay, so I guess it's so the info's on the inside. It says the essential universe from our most celebrated and beloved astrophysicist. What is the nature of space and time? How do we fit within the universe? How does the universe fit within us? There's no better guide through these mind-expanding questions than acclaimed physicist and best-selling author Neil deGrasse Tyson. But today, few of us have time to contemplate the cosmos. So Tyson brings the universe down to earth, succinctly and clearly, with sparkling wit and tasty chapters, consumable anytime, anywhere in your busy day. While you wait for your morning coffee to brew, for the bus, the train, or a plane to arrive, Astrophysics for People in a Hurry will reveal just what you need to be fluent and ready for the next cosmic headlines. From the Big Bang to black holes, from quarks to quantum mechanics, from the search for planets to the search for life in the universe. So, I don't know, if you like, I'm not like a big science person, but I do like watching like the Cosmos documentaries and like those type of shows where, you know, they talk about what if there was a black hole close, you know, in our galaxy or galaxy? Yeah, like what it, like in the Milky Way, what if there was a black hole? Or, you know, what if the sun starts to die, or, you know, all these things. So I do find that very interesting, as does my daughter. So she, so this was a good call for her. It's not something I probably would have picked out for myself, but I am very excited to jump in and read this. And, you know, she said that it is a bit, you know, you've got to, it's not super light reading. It's not as light as it kind of makes it seem like it's going to be. It's a little bit more thought-provoking. And you got to use a little bit more brain power, but I figure vacation was the perfect time to get through it. It's not a very big book at all. So, and it'll be the first hardcover book I've read in a long, long time. So I'm kind of excited about that as well. Okay, guys, that's it for books. I know that was kind of a long bit of book talk, but if you're a bookish person, I hope you enjoyed it. Hey guys, it is Cheryl from the future popping in. I actually had recorded yesterday, however, something came up right at the very end of my recording session and I had to cut things short, like really, really short, and I didn't have a chance to finish up the last few things I wanted to say, and also I didn't have a chance to even say a proper goodbye. So I just wanted to pop in and finish this up. Seriously, my dogs, well, Simon's 5. You can see, can you see Simon? He's laying down right here. Simon thinks he's a cat. He pretty much, this is where he hangs out most days while I'm knitting. Piper is being a little beast. She is, they are like, let me see if I can show you Piper. Pipey! Pipey! What you doing? Oh, this is my life, you guys. They're all like vying for attention. So they are in rare form right now, running all over the place. So anyway, and this is Ollie. You guys have met Ollie before. Anyway, I just wanted to stop back in and mention a couple things. All right, Ollie, go lay down. Go lay down. Go lay down. Good boy. Okay. Seriously, every time I want to, this is why I don't get nearly as much knitting done as I would like. Ollie, go. All right, so you guys, couple quick things that I wanted to mention. One is a few different podcasts that I have been watching. The first one is the amazing Jenny. Hi, Jenny, if you're watching, of the Lucky Jenny Knits podcast. You guys, I'm sure, probably already know and watch Jenny's podcast, but in case you don't, go on over and check her out because she is super, super cute. Yeah, I don't know. I found her through Facebook. A mutual friend had introduced us, more or less, and then you know, you meet someone, you kind of check them out online, and, you know, one thing leads to another, and you find out, oh, here they are on Instagram, here they are on Facebook, here they are on Ravelry, here they are on YouTube, you know, all the usual hangouts. And, yeah, so she has a really fun podcast. Yeah, her podcast is super fun and super cute. So I just wanted to give Jenny a shout out and say how much I'm enjoying watching you. And she is hosting, oh my God, you guys, she is hosting with another brand new to me podcast, which is Pause for Stitches podcast. and that is hosted by Candy, and I think she has a couple of dogs. I'm not sure. I want to say Labradors, but I could be wrong. I just started watching her, so I can't tell you too much about that. But they are hosting together something they're calling the Pen Pal Cal, which I don't know all of the details, but it sounded super fun. If you watch Jenny's latest podcast, which just came out like a couple days ago, she had started a new segment on her podcast where she chats with a knitter friend from, you know, the online knitting community. So they're doing this thing where they're going to match you up with somebody else, and you guys can be either pen pals, where you literally write to each other, which would be super cool. I hope that my pen pal and I might at least maybe exchange a few letters. It doesn't always have to be letters, but I do think that would be fun. And yeah, so I don't know, so I know they're going to have a bunch of different things, but I think there's going to be some, like, you know, friendly competitions where you like knit the same pattern, or I don't know how it's gonna work, but it sounds fun. There'll be like challenges, things like that. So check that out if you think I'm describing it horribly. Piper! The only time Piper barks, the only time, is when she's trying to goad people into playing with her, and right now she wants to play hardcore, and like Simon's not having it. As you can see, he's like chilling. Yeah, and I'm not paying attention. So anyway, I'm explaining this whole Pen Pal Cal thing really badly, but it did sound super fun, and there's details in the Lucky Jenny Knits podcast group, and also I think the sign-ups are in the Pause for Stitches podcast group, and that's Pause, P-A-W-S, the number 4, Stitches podcast group. And that's where you actually go to sign up, and you just give like your name, your Ravelry name, and if you prefer, I think like US only. And sign up search until July 15th, I think they said. So go check that out if you're interested in getting a knitting pen pal. Because one thing they said, which is, you know, the same reason, do you see Ollie? That gate is like, it's gonna be like 3 feet tall. He just jumps over it like it's nothing. He jumps like crazy. He jumps over everything. Anyway, I forget what I was saying. Oh, so they were saying, you know, one of the main reasons they got into, you know, podcasting and all the things that they do online is that they really wanted to be a bigger part of the knitting community and make more knitting friends. And that's pretty much one of the same things I said on my first episode of this podcast is, you know, I just wanted to be more involved in the knitting community and meet more people and just, and, you know, be a bigger part of all of that. So what a great way to make some new knitter friends, right? So go check that out if you're interested. And then the other podcast that I just started watching, and again, it's probably another one that you guys know all about, it's called the Jessica Ruth Knits podcast. And I believe she is Sergeant Griff's girl on Ravelry, although I don't remember how she spells that out. But if you watch the podcast, she mentions it there, so you can check it out. And the reason I mention her Ravelry name and why you would want to go check that out, well, you'd want to go check it out because, I mean, she's just awesome in general. But the other reason is that she's doing something really cool. So a lot of you may have heard of this already, but if you haven't, I just thought I would mention it because it is super cool. I don't know how this came about, but she was given I guess a large amount of indie dyed, hand dyed yarn. And she, instead of keeping it all for herself, which greedy little me probably would be like, yes, give me all the yarn. I mean, I don't know what I would do, but I don't know that I would be as generous as she is because I think what she's doing is incredibly selfless and generous. So she is donating, I don't know how to explain this. So what she is saying is that if you knit any sort of baby item or item that could be for a new mother and send it to her with your details, she will then send you one skein of this hand-dyed yarn. So one, that's amazing, and two, what she's going to do is take these items that she has sent, and she's going to be donating them to, I want to say it's like a birthing center is what she's calling it, something to that effect. So she's going to donate all of these items to these birthing centers for newborn babies and new moms, and in return for your generosity of knitting the baby item, she is going to send you one of these hand-dyed skeins of yarn that she received. That is amazing. That is such a cool thing to do. And she's still taking donations. I think she said she was going to take them like through July or like until August 1st. I could be wrong about that, but she talks about when the deadline is in her very latest podcast, which just came out last week. So you still have plenty of time to knit a baby item if you would like to join in on this, which I'm going to try and see if I can knit something. I mean, a hat, something. And I don't even necessarily need for her to send me yarn because, I mean, I do have quite a bit of indie dyed yarn because I'm an indie dyer. So I would like that yarn to go to, you know, maybe people who don't have an opportunity to use indie dyed yarn as much as I do. But I still think it would be really cool to send something for her to include in her donations. So we'll see. I'm going to try if I have time to do that. I don't know if I will. But I wanted to spread the word, and I know she's been doing it for a while, but it's still going on, and I think that is just such an amazing, cool, generous thing for her to do. So, yeah, so that is all. I just wanted to mention those few things. Right. So thank you for watching. Thank you for spending time with me, and I will see you guys next time. All right, bye.